everybody. Welcome back to the How to Podcast series. I have a friend on the camera, on the mic, on the screen with me today. We do meetups together. He's a great source of information, a great encouragement as well. Dave Beckemeyer. If you ever got really overloaded with outrage and you're like, I need an outlet, go check out Dave's show. You'll love it. Dave does a lot of stuff in podcasting. He's a great voice and in podcasting, and I love having him here. We're going to talk about Substack today. So if you're thinking about building a community somewhere, Substack might be the answer for you. Dave's been doing this for a while. I want to give a quick caveat right off the beginning. Dave and I are not experts in Substack by any means. So if you're an expert in Substack listening to this, we are probably going to frustrate you, just so you know. But if you're brand new to Substack and you have no idea what this is and how to start, this is the episode for you. We're going to give you the basics and some overview, some things to think about around Substack. And again, Dave's been doing it longer than me. So I'm here to learn from Dave. And we're going to have a great conversation. What better than two Daves in one episode, right?
Absolutely.
So, awesome. Dave, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hopefully I'll be able to actually help some people here. Thanks a lot for letting me join you.
Okay, let's do all the promotions. Let's get them out of the way, Dave, because you know that's the most important thing. We want you to people come listen to your show. Talk about your podcast, what you do, and all that great stuff.
Oh, okay. Sure. I always love to plug things. I'm sure the audience is totally into it, right? Yeah. So we've got sort of a network of shows. We call it Outrage Overload, and that's also the flagship show. It's called Outrage Overload, and it's a Connors Institute podcast. So it's pretty serious and kind of academic, somewhat, but also we try to make this kind of academic research and science and sciencey things and all that stuff more accessible. Like you don't have to be a science geek to really understand it all. You might be kind of a science nerd, like you're into science a little bit, but you don't really have to know all the math and all that stuff. And we talk about things like political polarization, kind of the divisiveness of politics. So it's not really a political show per se. We don't talk about the issues so much. We talk about how we talk about politics and how often we don't talk about politics. That's kind of what it's about. And some of the emotions and psychology associated with that and social science around it and all that kind of stuff. Just to have try to get a better understanding of why we're often mad at each other and all the sort of provocateurs that try to make us mad at each other.
Good word. I like that one. Awesome. You also have a podcast you do with your wife. That's amazing. Podcasting with your partner. Good idea. What do you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's worked out great so far. I mean, it has its downsides because like during the week we go, we can't talk about this because we got to talk about it on the show. So it has those downsides. But yeah, it's actually for us, it's kind of funny too because we're both busy. So it actually gives us an hour to like, hey, catch up. Hey, it's you. I think I know you. That kind of thing, right?
There you go. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so we're going to talk about Substack. Again, caveat for everyone listening. If you're an expert in Substack, you might want to leave now because we're just going to share what we're doing and what we're thinking and what we're seeing. And we're going to learn a lot in the future. But as of right now, what we know about Substack and how we're using it, I'm brand new at this. So I'm coming from it from that perspective. Dave's been doing it more than I have and using it in a lot of special fun ways, which is great. But when did you first start on Substack, Dave? When was your first initial login?
Oh, I want to say it's got to be 2.5, almost maybe 3 years ago. It's been a while.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, there you go.
So I have, it's both evolved in how I'm using it, but it's also I've kind of watched it kind of evolve and change around, and it has changed over that time, and different features have been added and stuff like that. So yeah, I've kind of, I don't know, got a sense of it a little bit, kind of the emotions of it, and also the zeitgeist of the thing, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So if you have never used Substack and you have no idea what we're talking about, one thing that podcasters should consider early on in their journey of starting their show and building community is having a way to talk to your audience and stay in touch with them. If for some reason things fall apart and your social media account gets closed or whatever, you have some way to stay in touch with your audience. So if just for this sake alone, if you want to start gathering some emails from your listeners and having a connection point with your audience, even if that's what you use Substack for as beginning stages, great. If that's all you take out of today, then take that and start with that as a beginner introduction level. That's what I'm doing. I've set up my account. I'm getting people signing up for my stuff. I don't know what they're signing up for. Dave's going to help me explain this. But the people are signing up. People are starting to follow along. I'm not even really promoting it. but I do have a way to build a community off my podcast with my listenership and people curious about what I talk about through an email sign up process through Substack. So again, if that's your beginning stages, then this would be for you, Dave. Like somebody brand new to Substack, setting up an account, pretty simple, straightforward, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably literally have the basics of doing that set up in 20 minutes or something, right? I mean,
Okay.
and you can always go back and change a lot of these settings. I mean, obviously, some of the key ones are sort of the name of it, and some of those things might matter a little bit. Even that stuff you can change, but maybe it's handle name and who owns it and things like that. That's a little bit harder to change. But yeah, I mean, that's a great way to think of it, because if you do nothing else, like it has like an embed form that you can stick on your website. That's just a little collect an email address thing, and if that's all you did, then you started something. And I think, like you say, if you have that email address and you're only using that embed form and the little dashboard back end to like, here's my list of emails I've collected and here's the download it button, if that's all you do with it, that's a leg up on a lot of other folks who aren't collecting emails, right? So it's a great starting point if you do nothing else, and then you can start sending out emails to them or do whatever you want outside of that, but or in addition to that. But just starting with that is a leg up.
Okay, and you can go and search by topics. You can find people. They recommend other creators as well, which is kind of nice. Can you explain the difference between following somebody and subscribing to somebody? What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, this is a never-ending confusion for everybody. I think, readers and participants as well as authors. So they added this notes thing, which is basically kind of their version of, Twitter or Threads or whatever, right? And it's still pretty small, and they're trying to sort of promote it and use it. And some of that is also, they're trying to use that, I think, to drive people to their app, which, again, is all optional. Like, you don't have to do any of this stuff. And nobody that would receive an email from you has to do any of this stuff, right? They don't have to create an account on Substack. They don't do anything. Yeah. But it's all, like, people could do it, right? And so once they added notes, they created this idea of following. So now you can follow somebody where you'll see their notes potentially if you either use the app or log into the website. Sometimes you'll see that come up there in like a little notification blurb, or if you go to the notes tab on there, or if you're downloading the app, you'll get notifications on your phone. And now you're following their notes, which are these little snippet things people write, like a Twitter, like a tweet or a thread or something, right?
Okay.
But then separately, the original thing you could do, which is subscribe, which was the thing we talked about before, where you give an email address. And I think this creates the most confusion when people are using the app and they're online and stuff. Not on your own form. It's pretty obvious. You're subscribing to an email thing because you're being asked for your email, and it says you're subscribing to an email thing. But when you're in the app on Substack and people are on the website on Substack, like, it can be a little confusing. What am I doing? When you go to read an article, it's always promoting a subscribe button, and that's going to subscribe you to the email list, add your email to that list. But yeah, then they also have this follow thing, which is you're following them for notes, and you can do it separately. I haven't actually figured out for sure. I can't even tell you the answer to if you subscribe, are you also following, or do you also have to follow? I'm not sure. It might be two things.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Answer us in the comments, everyone, as we go through this. You're like, hey, that's not right.
I think if you subscribe, you are following too, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. And when you create a post as a creator on Substack, does it automatically go out to your subscribers and your followers, or just your subscribers, or nobody? Like, what happens when I make a post and go, I was on a podcast with Dave Beckemeyer today? Who gets that?
Well, and this used to be an easier answer because there was only one kind of post and they were all the same. But now if you post what they call, an article, I think they call it, but if you post that, then it's going to go to your subscribers. And even then, it has a checkbox before you hit publish. It has a checkbox to say email it or not. So you could just publish it to the sort of the web, archive on the website and not email it. But it would go, if you do select that box that says send it out, then it'll go out as an email. And there's another caveat about that. I'll have to talk a little bit because I add more complexity to all this. But it'll go out as an email, and to all those email subscribers. It will not go out to your notes. That's a separate thing. So if you meant post to notes, it only goes to your followers, and they only see it if they either have the app or log into the website to see notes. So yeah. So if you mean sort of the traditional post, and right now there are, I think, 4 kinds of posts you can do on Substack. So you can do a text only, you can do a video, you can do an audio. I think one other one I'm not thinking of. But anyway, you can do those different kind of posts. They're all sort of the same, except whether they either have a video or audio or don't, and that kind of stuff. And you can mix and match. You can have YouTube's embedded in it and stuff like that if it's a text post. But yeah, so if it's a classic post, it will go out to your subscribers if you tick that box. One thing I want to say about that, though, that I've also kind of recently learned, kind of a confusing that they're fiddling around with the app thing. For people that download the app, and I'm not sure if it's a default setting or not, but there's under the notification settings, there's like these 3 options, and one of them is like about notifications, and one of them is like prefer phone notifications, right? And I've discovered if people click that, they don't get your emails anymore. They only get it in the app. And so, I don't know if we should be telling people don't click that. I don't know if that's the default. If they install the app, I'm not sure. It's almost like I want to reinstall the app and see if that's the default, or something. Because I didn't like that. Like, that I realized that after the fact that if people downloaded the app and have that selected, they don't get my emails anymore. They only get stuff on their phone.
All right, well, that's interesting. All right, I'm on the app while we're chatting because I'm trying to click all the buttons and follow along as we do this. Okay, so if I create an email to my email subscribers, it will go out from Substack to all my email subscribers. My email subscribers don't have to have an account on Substack to read my email.
Right. They don't have to know Substack exists, basically.
Okay. But to see my notes and be a part of all that, then they would need to have an account to be on Substack. Okay.
Right.
All right. See, there we go. That's the kind of stuff we're going to cover here. The deep, very hard to figure out stuff for you as a new Substack user. Being on the platform this long, Dave, you've also kind of jumped into some other aspects of Substack. You do a live thing on Substack as well?
Yeah, we do some lives. So I will usually simulcast, so I might be live on Substack and somewhere else. But and you can. I did figure out that you can broadcast a Zoom into a Substack live. So they have live streaming now. So I will do that because I know I have some followers there, and that gives an opportunity for people to sort of interact with us. So we will simul stream often some of the other things I do. Like I will do Q&As sometimes with listeners. I will do I will have expert panels on, and I'll cover some kind of a topic that's hot in the news. And I'm lucky enough that these experts agree to do that, and so I get some great guests to come on and we do panels. So I will simulcast those to Substack and maybe to YouTube or somewhere else.
Okay. What's the big difference between Substack and like an email newsletter service where people sign up, like whatever you want to call them, MailChimp, all these other ones, Aweber? They're a way to capture emails and send out emails to people. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, I would characterize one as kind of an email marketing, sort of platform / engine tools, and those typically have a lot of features that Substack doesn't have. So Substack is really designed for simple, writing, simple newsletter writing, or even just article writing, and simple. It doesn't have a lot of formatting and call out buttons and boxes and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing it doesn't have is, if anybody that's sort of been involved in marketing and companies that have used email marketing techniques, if it has kind of the customer journey idea, and you can segment lists, and you can have this, like in the first month I always send this, and the second month I send that, and if you haven't seen this yet, you get that. Okay, those settings aren't that kind of stuff. Substack doesn't do. So if you're like, that's really what you're planning to do, you probably want like a convert kit or something like that is designed to do those things. So, the mental model that I think about is, Substack is for writers. So if you think you have some writing you want to do, whether you used to blog or you want to blog, you think about blogging in the future, it's kind of that. It's kind of, it's more like that than it is like email marketing. If you purely look at it as email marketing, it's probably not the best platform to be on. Although you can always use it temporarily while you capture emails till you figure out what email platform to get on, because it is free.
And then also you have one of your podcasts hosting through there, sending it out to Apple and Spotify and all that as well, right? With an RSS feed.
That's right. So, it's not a podcast first platform. Again, it's still a writing first platform, but it does do it, and it's free. And that's for our This Week in Outrage program that we do on the weekends with my wife and I do. So that's a weekly show, usually, unless for some reason we can't do it. It's called This Week in Outrage, and that is hosted on Substack, and they are the RSS feed. They deliver the RSS feed for that, and of course, once you have the RSS feed, you can put it everywhere else. But I will say that it's not podcasts first. So if you've sort of seen all the features that a Libsyn has, or an RSS, or a Buzzsprout, it doesn't really have all that. Like it doesn't do pre-rolls and mid-rolls, and the stats aren't that good. It's just the basics. It does it. It makes an RSS feed. It's there and it's free. So, it's free hosting. And so, it does work. Like there's nothing, I'm not really saying it doesn't work, but it doesn't have a lot of the features it doesn't have all the features of a sort of podcast first platform.
Okay. So before we get into more about how to leverage Substack from a writer's perspective for the podcasters that are listening, and they're like, why would I even need this? Beyond capturing emails and having communication with your audience, that's a big win. What else would be a benefit to a podcaster specifically about having a Substack account along with their podcast?
Well, I think the ones that you said are really, really the biggies, right? So if all that stuff is interesting to you, it's a place to sort of establish a brand. You can, it's a place you can also let your hair down a little, right? So I can say things or do things that might not merit an episode, but I can put them out as a Substack, article or a blog post. So it allows you to maybe just have that deeper connection and establish a little bit of a brand as a writer. And then I haven't done a lot with the notes thing. I know I sent you one article about the guy that said he was posting 10 notes a day or something and felt like it didn't really get him anywhere. But I don't do that much with notes. I think there is more opportunity for me to do more with notes. And again, it's kind of another way to just kind of get your brand out there and, let people know who you are without having to do a whole episode about something.
So you can promote your episode. You can promote maybe a little bit extra detail around the interview or the guest or the topic and go a little deeper. Do you need to be a really great writer on Substack, or can you be like mildly average like me and still leverage the platform?
That's a great question, and I think it's really important because like I said, I sort of have been kind of around for a while and kind of feeling the zeitgeist about it. And I would say Substack readers aren't necessarily looking. I mean, sure, they love good. There's a segment that just loves the best writers that have ever written anything, right? All that stuff. But they also just want authenticity and genuine ideas, and they really are kind of frowning on AI content. They really want I'd rather have some typos and some odd grammar than something that was just spewed out from AI. So I don't think you have to be the best writer ever. I mean, I think you have to have some of your own unique ideas and be ready to put them out there in your own words.
Okay, yeah. One of the things you sent me was 13 signs you used ChatGPT to write that on Substack. And as I was scrolling through this, Dave, it's a great list. We'll have a link for everybody to go read it on Substack, and then you can follow the creator for this as well. But how our AI models word our results and how they come back and how everybody's starting to sound like everybody else. And it's really hard to pick apart a creative, unique voice now because we're all using dive into, it's important to note, it's important to remember, certainly remember that, navigating the blah, 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 delving deep. All these words are like, I feel nervous saying them in my natural words that I would normally use, delve. And I'm like, I can't use that word anymore. I've been canceled from the word delve because of all these AI models. So the idea of going to ChatGPT saying, write me an article for Substack about podcasting and copy paste, I'm done. Not the best use of the platform, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a little careful here because, I mean, if you just want to get some content out, that might be okay. I think you would do a lot better, of course, the more originality you can have and the more maybe you can edit that or fiddle around with it or take sections out that seem like that rambling AI language or something. Yeah. But, I want to be a little careful here because if that's the best you got, I mean, it's something like you're getting some messages out there. And if you're doing a lot of AI writing, I might just keep them short. Like don't have them be super long. Keep them short. Right. But yeah, if you can come up with your own stuff, even if it has typos, even if the language is not the prettiest or whatever, that's the stuff people are really hungry for. And you will get, people will see it, people will refer it. they'll send you people. So I think that's what people are really looking for, is more original content, even if it's not just super polished.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe a little less meh content and a little bit more thoughtful in your opinion, what you're learning. Take us along on the journey. Like, that's all those things are going to make people want to come and subscribe and follow and read what you're doing. Just think of at the end of the day, somebody's going to read this. So put out something that's worth value to that person to take time to read that. That'll keep people coming back, just like they listen to your podcast, right? It's great to have these tools, but at the end of the day, if Dave Beckemeyer is not Dave Beckemeyer, I can just go to ChatGPT with the same prompt and get a similar result.
Right.
So I want to hear Dave Beckmeyer's thoughts about this. And, that's the one unique thing that we all have, is who we are.
Yeah, and I think that what something we've hinted on a couple times now is a little bit more than just promoting the episode. I mean, sure, you can promote an episode, but I would even try to add a twist to it, whatever that might be. Maybe something you didn't say in the episode, or something you I don't know, a different spin on it in some way, or add a little bit more, make it as standalone, having some value standalone, even if they never do go and listen to the episode. I would encourage something like that. I know, Dave, you're really great at coming up with these ideas about kind of teasing people, say, well, now you have to listen because he told me this thing and now I need to know what it is. And that's fine. I mean, I figured that's I don't know, that may be a marketing trick, but it's a little bit more of a fun one. It's not quite as pushy, but that's an aspect of this I would always think about. Like, see if you have some standalone value in this thing, and not just be, if you only post, I think, promotions for episodes, people are already getting that in their Apple, or Spotify app, right? I don't need another place to say a new episode popped up. But if you can add a little bit more detail to it. Another thing that I do, just, and this is just an idea that might trigger some other ideas. I'm not saying necessarily this is the best one for everyone, but, one thing that inspires a lot of my Substack articles is feedback from listeners. I have passionate listeners that have a lot of concerns and are we're in this difficult times, right? And they're suffering, various kind of trauma and other things that they're dealing with and trying to figure stuff out. So a lot of times those are what inform. If I get like a sentiment that's kind of appearing a lot, that's what I'll write about. I'll try to help provide some thoughts about that thing, and maybe we can all relate to it together. I may not have all the answers, but I can provide some other context for it, and we can kind of be in it together, kind of thing.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to use Substack. There's a lot of different avenues we can go down, and they're all great. They all have different things you can do to reach people. Anything that you tried on Substack in the past, and you're like, I'm not doing that part as much anymore now that on this platform?
Not really, because there's still so much more I think you could do that, it seems like every, it's an exaggeration to say every week, but it feels like that sometimes. They add another, a new tab shows up, a new feature shows up, and it kind of feels like they're bolting a lot more and more stuff onto it. So like I said, I have lightly used the live streaming. I have lightly used notes. I think both of those have probably more opportunity to do more. But none of it's been a total failure in any sense that I've really tried yet. But I think there's a lot more that could be done on the platform. But again, you don't really have to use the 17,000 features that it has, right? Just use the 2 or 3 that are doing what you need to do.
I did an episode on the How to Podcast series recently about a shoe salesman and his theory back in the day, back in the 50s or 60s. He would sell you shoes in his shoe store, but he would limit your choices to 2. So he'd bring out 2 pairs of shoes and put them in front of you. And if you were interested in a 3rd pair, he would ask you which pair of the 2 shoes in front of you don't want. And he would only have 2 pairs of shoes in front of you at any given time. Not 3, not 10, 2. So if you wanted to add something new to your plate or new to your choices, you had to remove a choice. What have you removed? See my segue here. What have you removed from Dave Beckmeyer's world of podcasting and community building to make room for Substack? Have you abandoned a social media app? What have you walked away from to make space for this?
Yeah, I consolidated, where I spend time, in social media. That's the biggest one for me. So I greatly cut back. Well, I kind of eliminated spending time on TikTok, and I greatly cut back what I do on Facebook. So Facebook now is pretty boring. The stuff I put on Facebook is pretty minimal and pretty boring. Although I do have a Facebook group that's sort of some super fans, and I kind of keep that going. But my Facebook page is extremely boring. And same with Instagram. I've cut way back. I still put stuff on Instagram, but I've cut back. So yeah, I think those are the places that I had to do to make more time for Substack and more time for writing. And the reason for me was that I was getting much better engagement in the writing on Substack. And okay, I guess I got to actually write stuff now.
Okay, because that's the one thing I think every time a new platform comes out. Well, Substack has been around for a while, but new platforms come out, everyone jumps on board, signs up, stakes their claims, plants their flag. Oh, a new platform. And like every week or whatever, every month there's something new. And it gets to be the point where you're like, I don't even remember my logins for the last 20 different platforms I have. And you're like, I'm not spending any time here. I'm posting and ghosting. I'm not being an active community member on this app or this service. And my audience shows up and it's just crickets all the time because I'm never there. So how would Substack be a good replacement then for a really quiet Facebook group with no interactions and nobody's doing anything? Could you walk away from a Facebook group that's inactive and maybe think about starting something on Substack instead? Would that be an option for people?
Oh yeah, definitely. People have definitely done that. I think the Notes platform is a place where you can build that in addition to the mail list, obviously, and the recommendation system has some upsides and downsides on Substack. So there's this whole sort of they like what they like, what they like, what they like kind of system when people subscribe to a new publication. So people subscribe. My publication is recommended by several much larger ones, right? So, when you subscribe to one of those, mine comes up as would you also like to subscribe to, here's ones that they recommend, would you also like to subscribe to those? And the upside is they do drive new subscribers. Something to consider, I don't know if I'll call it a downside, but just kind of a caveat there is just don't forget, those people didn't sort of actively seek you out. So they might be less engaged than they might not be as good I don't think, and the whole rating of how good these addresses are, by the way, Substack's a little weaker than that, than a lot of the other platforms that manage all that. They like a 5-star rating, but it's secret as to how the 5-star rating happens. I assume it has something to do with open rates and stuff like that. But anyway, those new subscribers that come through those recommendations might not be quite as sort of engaged in your stuff.
Okay. One of the things I heard on another podcast, I sent you the link to this one as well. I'll put a link in the chat for people who want to hear it. But they were talking about one of the downsides of Substack seems to be, at the time of recording, that you can't kind of go through and remove like people from your list because they're not interacting or whatever. And in all these other emails first platforms, you have a little bit more control over who signs up. And sometimes you're paying by how many people you have. So you want to remove people who are not interacting with your content. So we don't have that option in Substack to kind of go through our list and remove people who sign up.
You could definitely remove people. As far as I know, you can definitely do that, but you don't have as many metrics about why you'd remove them. You know what I mean? It's like most of these other systems have sort of more, you could query on certain things. Oh, yeah, they haven't opened an email in 10 weeks or whatever. And you can then, and of course, with those other systems, you can do that whole segmentation thing where you could select the ones that haven't opened an email and then send them a particular email. And Substack doesn't really have those kinds of capabilities or features. So, yeah, so it's definitely, if you're used to that stuff in email marketing, then it's probably not going to be the best platform for you. Although it could double, right? I mean, you can sort of do a little bit of both, right? You could use Substack to capture emails. You can and you can download them. I think the podcast you're referencing did that. You can stick them in. Yeah. You can stick them in ConvertKit or whatever to actually send emails, and you can use Substack to just write articles. I mean, it gets a little murky as to then why am I on Substack at all kind of thing. But but yeah, if those kind of features are kind of missing. But as far as I know, you can definitely remove someone for sure. But you may not have as many metrics about making decisions about. Like, I don't think you can query on, like, oh, show me all the people that haven't opened an email for 10 weeks or whatever. You can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. The one other link you sent me as far as some ideas to talk about today was the idea about your welcome note to your people that sign up for the first time. Now, this would be subscribers, I believe, that would be signing up. They'd be getting a welcome note, right? beyond followers. So for you, do you have any best practices, any suggestions based on this article? We'll include this as well. But any best practices for our first message out to our people that are signing up? I've got a few people signed up. I haven't sent them anything. I got to do something.
It sent them the default one. If you haven't changed it, it sent the default one. And I definitely recommend putting your spin on it, like put your personality on those notes. Right? I think there's 4 or 5 different automated notes, and now we're getting a little bit into the paid subscriber side as well. But there's the welcome one, and then there's also stuff like if you subscribe as a paid subscriber, you get a welcome to that. You get a second kind of welcome to that. As your subscription's running out, you get like a reminder of if you don't do anything, your credit card's going to be charged in a month or whatever, which I think is good. I'm glad they do that because, I don't like surprises, and I'm sure people don't want surprises. So, you can say something there. Hey, I really appreciate that you signed up, and I really appreciate your support. And I understand if you can't re-up and get it, didn't want you to be surprised. So, but if you don't do anything, that'd be great too, but your credit card will be billed. Just kind of put something in your own words. I would definitely update those, and I think that article is really good about that, and just I would definitely update those to put something in your own words about it. And I think that article has some good samples. There's probably other maybe that's a good opportunity for ChatGPT to give some ideas. I wouldn't again cut and paste, but it might have some ideas of what you might put in a welcome email.
Okay. What else are we missing, Dave, from the conversation for somebody brand new like me signing up for Substack first time? We did talk about the great way to collect email addresses, start building your community. I'm really curious what else you're thinking about. I do want to talk quickly, too, about the paid version, because somebody sat up just now and went, wait, I can make money on this platform? So that's another thing. But what else are we missing from the conversation, do you think, for today for a new Substack person?
I think that we can reiterate a little bit what we said at the beginning is, you don't have to figure it all out on day one. And, you can be overwhelmed with the settings. So if you just think about, maybe we could even write a sort of step-by-step, the 7 things you kind of have to do to get started. And then here's the other 47 things you can do later. But and I think that's the thing is it's easy to get overwhelmed. If you just think of it initially as a way to collect email addresses, it's much simpler in your mind to think about. And then be thinking about, again, I think we haven't said enough that it's kind of a writing platform. So just be thinking about, before you even go down this road, do I have things I want to write about? And you may discover you have more than you thought. But I think that's probably the main thing. And just don't be overwhelmed. It's got a lot there, but you don't have to use it all.
Okay. So when people sign up as a paid subscriber to your content, they get special things that unpaid subscribers don't have access to? Is that correct?
Well, think of it like Patreon. So you set the levels, and then you decide what that level gets you. For me, the level gets you a warm, fuzzy feeling. I don't really have any.
Like that.
I don't have any paywalls, and so all my content's available whether you're a paid subscriber or not. So, but you can do that. You can put your articles behind the paywall. You can have it so only people that are subscribers can comment. That's what a lot of people do. So, like, if you want a comment, you're going to have to become a paid subscriber. I don't do any of that, but that's certainly what a lot of people do. And then you can also create multiple levels. So, like you said, you can have, these are the free articles. Every Friday, I do a subscriber-only article, or, I do a live session that's only available to my subscribers, stuff like that. Like some people do consulting sessions, more or less, or live QAs, and they're only available to subscribers, to paid subscribers.
That makes sense.
So you can decide. You can offer just a fuzzy smile, a happy smile, and a warm feeling, or you can offer you can break it up. And these are the same kind of questions you'd have if you were going to set up a Patreon. And on the back end side, when you set that up, it's Stripe is the funding source. It's pretty easy. They did a pretty good job to integrate it, so you don't need a lot. It's not quite as difficult as setting up a Stripe account on your own. So whatever deal they have with Stripe makes it simpler. Like they don't collect that much information about you. It seemed simpler anyway to me than what I remember about setting up a Stripe account separately. But it seems pretty easy. You can get that set up, and then folks can subscribe. Now, and that's a great way if you think about like for me, it's like a buy me a coffee, right? It's kind of like that. It's you don't really get anything if you buy me a coffee, but you're helping support this work, and that's what I do with it. And So it's a great way to, it's another way to do that, right? And it's pretty easy for subscribers. Like they can pay really easily. So it's easy from your end. It's easy from my end. The the thing to think, Substack takes a pretty big cut, right? I think they take a 10% cut, which is bigger than most, like bigger than PayPal or bigger than some of the others. Yeah. And that's basically, because they're doing a lot of the work, basically, right? I mean, and that's how they fund all this free stuff that we're getting, right? So that's why all that other stuff is free, because they're getting a pretty good cut on those paid subscribers. And for some people, this is like their livelihood. Like they're just writing and selling paid subscriptions, and they have hundreds of thousands or more paid subscribers, and that's their livelihood. That's like their whole thing. So that's always an option too. And and again, I've had better luck having. I know you do great with Buy Me a Coffee. For me, I've had better luck on Substack having paid subscribers, go through the Substack thing, and maybe it's just the nature of the work I'm doing or whatever, where they are, whatever. So certainly it's easy to try. Like I definitely recommend trying it. It's easy to set up, and you can always turn it off. Like if at some point you're going, I'm not really, I'm really comfortable with this or whatever, you can always turn it off, right? You don't have to keep it forever. But I would definitely say it's another avenue for a potential, funding source.
Okay. I know we're pushing time here. But one last question was around sections. So I have my one account for Substack, but I have 9 podcasts. Could I have sections for each of my shows to have different content? Like I could have a dad space section, I could have a how to podcast section, I could have living the next chapter section. Is that what sections are meant for, or am I thinking differently?
They could be. What I've discovered about sections, is they're clunky. Like, particularly they're clunky in the app. Like you almost can't get to sections in the app, which is super weird. Weird. So I think they have some work to be done in cleaning that up. What I use sections for is that's where I host the second podcast, right? So by it being a separate section, it has its own RSS feed and its own landing page and all that stuff. But I have noticed that. So theoretically, I think you could do the thing you're talking about, and it actually, like in theory, that seems like it would be ideal. But when I look at some of the practicalities of it, sections do get a little clunky. Because the other way you could do it, I shouldn't say you could do it. Like people thinking about sections, an alternative to sections might be if you don't do that many different, that frequently in these other things, and maybe they're not that different. You can also decide, like I say, some go out to email, some don't. So you can also unclick one of the ones, like maybe I don't want this one to go out to my email. I just want to go on the web. And also you can also, there's actually even, like if you're using it for podcasting, there's actually even a button to say, put it in the RSS feed or don't. So it could just go to the web, and it's just kind of hanging out on the web and doesn't go out to the podcast feed. But again, it's a little clunky, but that's what I use sections for. So for me, This Week in Outrage is its own section. Another podcast I have called Outrage Science Bites is a little like short episodes about sciencey stuff related to these topics we talk about. That podcast is also a section within it, and it's fine on the web. Like it's pretty easy to navigate on the web, but I noticed in their app it's clunky.
Okay, but the users aren't signing up for a section; they're signing up for me, right?
Right, and that's where it also gets confusing because those sections can have their own separate sign up. Like you can click a box that syncs them and they're all the same, or you can click a box and they have their own separate sign up.
Oh, okay. Right. Lots to play with.
They have their own. You'll give them a different form to fill in to sign up to that one.
I think you and I just created a new podcast, Dave.
The Substack podcast?
Dave and Dave talk Substack.
Well, it is an ongoing thing. Like every week, it seems like I learn something new.
So I'll be dumb Dave and you be smart Dave.
Well, no, I'm really waiting Substack, for you because when I look at all the stuff that you've done with YouTube and some of the other things that you've come up with, like Dave, I got to steal that. I'm doing that. Right?
Do it. Yeah.
So I've stolen a lot of things from your ideas on stuff like YouTube and all that. So I'm expecting once you kind of get into Substack a little bit, there'll be all kind of things where I'm like, oh, I got to start doing that.
Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. So we'll have you back, Dave. We'll keep talking. Like you've been here before, and I love when you come back. You bring a lot of energy and a lot of fun to the conversation. You're a huge support on the meetup group. And again, when you come off mic, I bring out my pen, comes right in my hand, just like this. Right as soon as Dave starts talking on Meetup, I'm ready to write down what Dave's going to say because you just that's who you are, and you serve the community well, and I'm so thrilled that you have time to be a part of our meetups and all that. As you're listening to this, if you want to meet the amazing Dave Beckemeyer, you got to come to a meetup. You'll get to meet him in person, and he's a really great person to have there as a support. Dave, any final parting words for a podcaster? Let's encourage somebody before we leave.
Well, yeah, I mean, the parting words are, A, you got to listen to Dave's show. So How to Podcast series, for sure. But also, yeah, attend these meetups. I mean, this is, they're no sales zones. This is just folks that genuinely want to help each other. So, it's definitely worth the time. And one of the things about that, we've talked about this a lot before. It's like, we're out here, we're doing this stuff, but our family is tired of hearing about it, right? Like every time we walk in a room, they're sort of like, oh, here he comes again. He's going to talk about the dumb podcast, right? Whereas in this forum, that's what you're there for. Like, we want to hear you talk about your podcast and talk about podcasting and the challenges you're struggling with. And I forgot to hit this button on them. Oh man, I'm so upset. That's the stuff we're there for. So I think that's a big thing. But yeah. So that's what I would say. If you're podcasting, you couldn't go wrong making the time to attend these meetups.
Excellent, Dave. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for your friendship and again serving the community well. Congratulations on all you're doing. I'm watching with great interest. You say you're waiting for me. I'm already watching you. So you're teaching me all that I know, Dave. Thank you for the insights on Substack. Again, for everyone listening, if you're an expert in Substack, you're probably like, I need to talk to these two Daves and help them out. Yes, we invite that.
Please.
We're looking to learn as well. Please, so reach out to either one of us.
For sure.
We'd like to learn more about Substack. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast all the way through to the end. I love having these great guest co-hosts on the show to share their podcast with you. You have some homework to do. And what I'm asking of you is to go check out our featured guest co-host today. Go over and listen to their podcast. The links are always in the show notes. And I'd love for you to go and give them your love and support. And I think if we can all do that for each other, podcasting will be a lot more fun for all of us. So it's time to do what you've asked others to do for you. It's time to do for this guest co-host. Links in the show notes. Go over and check out their show and leave them a review, do the follow, go listen to their episodes in full, the entirety of an episode, which again shows to the apps that it's a good podcast because you're going there and you're staying to the end. It's probably one of the best ways you can help a podcaster grow their audience and be shown to more people is by simply going and listening wherever you listen to the very end, like you're doing right now here. This is the perfect way to signal to wherever you're listening on, this is a podcast worth promoting. And all of the apps want you to stay on as long as possible. So go over and listen to our guest co-host episode and leave them some feedback. If they have a buy me a coffee, send them a coffee. If they have a speak pipe, send them a voice message. If they have an email, send them an email. If they're on Instagram, send them a direct message. Do something to support our guest co-hosts. They've given up their time to be here with you, to be here with me, and we can give that back to them with time and attention, our love, our support. Thank you for doing all that for me as well. Here on the How to Podcast series, we'll talk to you soon for our next episode.